Listen, you are created to cheer together in heaven forever over the most valuable object there is. And when that object is gone, we just replace it. There's just examples all over the place. Think about this. I thought of this example this week. It's just so ridiculous. The ways that we try and create means to do something together that sounds like praise. Think about people in high school excited over their graduating class. I was the class of 1988. I know. You know, when I first started doing youth ministry and I said that, people were like, oh, yeah, no big deal. I'm so old. But, okay, class of 88. When I was in high school, I wasn't really doing this too much. Because I'm a big example. Let's say somebody else. Class of 2000. People are like, yeah, class of 2000, man, we rock. Class of 2000, woo, we're the best. You're born the same year. We're looking for something to celebrate together. We don't care what it is. People just want to celebrate together. They don't care what. This is what your heart's made to do. It wants to celebrate things together. See people driving motorcycles. Do you ever see motorcyclists? When they drive, they wave to each other. Do you ever notice that? They wave to each other. You don't know that guy. He could be like a murderer or something. You're like, yeah, we both ride motorcycles. Only the driver. Bus drivers, too. Used to drive a bus. Same thing. Waving at each other. Everybody, yeah, we're cars, man. Woo! But see, our hearts are designed. We want to exalt something together. We want to exalt something together. This is a taste of what you were designed to do with God for eternity. This is a taste of it. So your heart, number one, wants to find something of value. Your heart, number two, wants to get and enjoy that thing of value that it found. And then your heart, number three, wants to praise that thing of value that it found. Your heart longs to do that. What's your heart been praising? If I asked people that followed you around in your life and I said, what is it you see this life show the worth of? What would they say? Where's your heart? What would people say is the reason why you're alive and the reason why you make the decisions that you make? To what end do you live? Christ comes to us and he wants us to understand that he, this is no mystery for you, I'm sure, I'm going to suggest that he should be the object that we value. And then want, and then enjoy, and then praise. This is why in Isaiah, God penned these words to us. Just listen. Just listen. Isaiah 55, it's verses 1 and 2. Just listen. What is God appealing to in these verses? Come everyone who thirsts. Come everyone who thirsts. Come to the waters. And he who has no money, come, buy, eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. And then God asks in frustration this question. Why do you spend your money for things that aren't bread? And why do you spend your labor for things that don't satisfy? So what God is saying is, you've been spending yourself, your heart has been reaching and trying to grab hold of something that it wants to enjoy, and God says, I got news for you, it's not going to work. You're not going to enjoy it. It's going to leave you empty. It won't satisfy you. And then he says in the next verse, listen to me and eat what is good and delight yourself. God says, delight yourself in the richest of foods, himself. So God has created your heart to have this longing and this wanting and this desire and this treasuring and this enjoying and this proclaiming and praising. God's created your heart to do that. And that's why if you want to know what it is to glorify God and what he wants from you the most, listen, God is most glorified in you when you are most satisfied in him. Do you hear? God is most glorified in you when you're most satisfied in all that he is. That's how you worship him, by being satisfied in all that he is. The problem is, boys and girls, our hearts, when I take your hearts and I take your hearts and I show them Mark 8, where it says, deny yourself, give up your life. Your heart, all of us, myself included, naturally, the heart we were born with says, there ain't no way I'm giving up myself for him. Because your heart naturally does not value him. Doesn't. And you can't make it value him. But he can make it value him But I want to listen, you have to get this. If you don't understand the heart aspect of this, what I'm talking to you about tonight becomes laws that you have to follow, rules. Oh, I have to give my life for God. No! You right now, every one of you, you do currently give your life for what you treasure. You do. You already do it. Jesus, when he says, you'll lay down your life for me, he's not making up something you don't do already. You already do it. He's just saying, let it be me. Your heart already worships. Your heart already treasures. He's saying, let it be me that it worships and treasures. Because everything else is going to break you. It's going to leave you empty. If you doubt that, listen to this. 1 Corinthians 13, Paul says this. Paul says this. If I give away all that I have, and if I deliver my body to be burned, Paul says, in other words, if I lay down my life, Paul says, but have not love, I gain nothing. So it's possible for somebody to spend their very life for Jesus Christ and it mean nothing, save no love. And I don't want that for any of you in here, that you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to be a good Christian now, man. I'm going to lay my life down for Jesus. I don't want to, but I guess it's the right thing to do. That's not what he wants from you. That's not Christianity. So how do we get to the point where we have hearts that value him? Because some of you may be sitting here tonight and thinking to yourself, okay, maybe my heart has to a small degree valued him. But I don't know if I would say right now the thing I treasure most is him. I don't know if people would look at my life and say, that's a life that proclaims the worth of God. I don't know. How do you get your heart there? Listen. Again, give me a couple simple points. Number one, you will only love God when you understand his love for you first. Okay? You will only love God when you understand his love for you first. If you're sitting here right now and you don't love God, you will only love God after you understand his love for you. Number two, the only way you will ever understand his love for you is if you understand the gospel. The only way you will ever understand the love of God for you is if you understand the good news. And the only way to hear the gospel is if you read it or someone tells you. So I'm going to tell you. This message, this is what's so cool, this message I'm about to share with you. This is the way that God has chosen to change hearts, to make them hearts that love him. By this message I'm about to tell you. It's just amazing. This message is what God uses to change hearts that don't love him, and the hearts that do love him. So consider your sin. You know, as I was writing this message and thinking of sin, I thought of, who has seen The Lord of the Rings before? You have seen it. Okay. All right, if you haven't, this won't work. So, in the movie, there's a ring, Lord of the Rings. So if you haven't seen it, it's a ring, and everybody in the movie, almost everybody in the movie, is desperate to get this ring. And in fact, their desire for this ring is a sick obsession in the movie. Would you agree? It's a sick obsession. That's you in sin. You have found something of value, and you have a sick obsession over it. You have found something of value, but it's not worth anything, this thing of value that you found. Compared to God, it's worthless. And you long for it. You all have hearts that long after the creation, not the Creator. And that's an insult to the Creator. That God in all his beauty would come before you and say, enjoy me forever. And you go, ew, there's nothing enjoyable here. Worse than that, we ignore him. You live in a world that ignores God. The God who every day of the life of every person on earth pours out upon them. Listen, anybody here today eat food? Anybody smile? Anybody have any comfort whatsoever? So did everybody else in the world who curses